The value on that crash and that Paris crash is basically, 170 grand. So it's sold for double. Someone paid twice the value because it's Elton Johns. What is up, watch fam? I am Christian, the curator of the Theo and Harris Vintage Watch Shop. I am sick, so pardon me. Today's episode is sponsored by our friends over at IFL Watches. They just released an amazing watch. We'll talk more about them later. I love that brand. And today we're going to be doing like a weekend update kind of thing where Sam rattles off a bunch of questions about, all the watch news, from some crazy Cartier results at auction to Bulova and Victoria Beckham. A lot of stuff going on here today. And I'm going to give you my thoughts rapid fire as they come in. And there's no, I don't know. I'm not even going to filter them. I'm just going to kind of go because I'm sick and I am on Dayquil. I'm actually on NyQuil and I'm staying up. That's why I have those owl eyes.
Elton John's Cartier crash sells for $277,000. What do you think of that price?
Well, first of all, $277,000 plus 26% buyer's premium, which is ridiculous. I don't know. I guess it's all consenting, so it's fine, and that's fine. Someone agreed to pay the extra 26%, but it goes from $277,000 to $349,000. Let's just let that sink in for a second. So it's a $349,000 Cartier Paris crash, which isn't even half the watch as the London crash, by the way. But these watches are worth like 170 grand probably. I had one a while back that I paid 44, sold it at 70. I think, and now it's worth 170. Great for me. But anyway, what do I think about it? I don't know. They doubled the premium, basically the Elton John factor, that collectible whatever factor, doubled the watch's value from 170 to 350. And I think that's, I don't know. I don't care about provenance like that. That means nothing to me. It really doesn't. I don't get it. I wouldn't pay premiums because it was owned by somebody else. It's just not my thing. I just don't care. I'm not a collector of people's things. I've never done that. If someone gives me something, like my dad's GMT is special because it was my dad's. Sure. I could see, like, just for a neat factor, I actually went to the auction with Sam and a fan and a friend, Chris, if you're watching. And, I could see, like, if you're like bidding on sunglasses or a painting for a couple of bucks, I could see it's like, okay, whatever. Okay, for some pocket change, I'm happy to buy a cool pair of sunglasses. Sure. But when I'm talking about expensive items, right? Really expensive items, from, cars to watches and things like that, where we're not talking, we're talking in the luxury world, tens of thousands of dollars. I'm not paying tens of thousands of dollars in premiums because something belonged to somebody. Period. End. I could see paying a couple of bucks, sure, but not tens of thousands. So for me, that whole thing is no bueno. So I don't care. I also don't know why he had a Paris crash. And it's no wonder to me why he sold it, because it's nowhere near as cool as the London, period. End. The next watch we'll talk about is way, way cooler. This is special.
Elton John's Cartier Tank Normale sold for $221,000. Do you think that's undervalued?
Well, if you take in the auction estimate, which was $20,000 to $30,000, I think it's extremely overvalued. Where do they get these auction estimates from? I have no idea. It was such a silly number. So at $221,000, again, it was $276 plus the 26% buyer's premium. Again, quite crazy. I think that was a lot of money. Obviously, $221. First of all, these are really rare watches. I only know of one other example of this watch in the world. I'm not sure if they were both custom made or if they were made in a small batch and then allocated. I don't know. Here's a little fun piece of history, though. This is being called a Tank Normale. This is not a Tank Normale, by the way, guys and ladies. Tank Normale has different proportions. It's a wider watch. This would be something considered like a Tank Normale Allongé. This is a longer watch, right? Cartier, like the whole game with Cartier and their tanks is like proportions and angles. That's what makes different tanks, right? If you look at the Louis versus the Normale, the Normale is stubbier, right? With thicker rails on the side. That's the whole point is the small differences. And this definitely isn't a Normale. right? So like the new Normal that was released by Cartier last year at the show, it was thicker, but the proportions head on were like basically the same. The proportions matter. They matter actually kind of more than anything. So this isn't a real Normal. So that to me is a little bit weird. It's being called that, but it's an incredible watch. I wouldn't have said $221,000. Putting aside the Elton John provenance, I probably would have said, 100 grand, 125 grand for this watch. And even that would be a lot. But I think that's probably would make sense. I guess the Elton John provenance demanded another $100,000, which is consistent, I guess, with the crash. Again, same point about the provenance. I just don't care. But this does seem to be more of an Elton John watch than the crash. I mean, this is a really glitzy, glamour, crazy, watch that I really love this watch. This watch is unbelievable in my view. Today's episode is sponsored by our friends over at IFL Watches, and they just dropped 2 just amazing new custom Cassiokes that I'm excited to show you guys. They're the Spitfire and Supersonic limited editions, and they're proud to announce them as parts of their Aviator collection. These masterpieces are a tribute to the daring spirit of aviation, encapsulating the essence of aerial excellence and the thrill of breaking boundaries. As always with IFL, you've got just these, hand-finished, hand-painted dials that are just beautiful, and the colors are just amazing. You've got this blue scale sky and obviously metallic case, and then these green textile straps. These watches are absolutely gorgeous. The Supersonic was inspired by the X-59's revolutionary design. It's crafted for those who see the sky as just the beginning, as IFL says. There are only 100 pieces available worldwide, and they do live as an homage to supersonic travel. Each of these watches, in addition to, of course, being hand-painted and just absolutely beautiful, showcase G-Shock's legendary durability and innovative design, tailored to endure the demands of both daily wear and the adventurous pursuits of the modern wearer, or in this case, aviator. The Aviators collection stands as a tribute to the daring and to the dreamers. It commemorates the journey of aviation soaring beyond the ordinary and appeals to a broad spectrum of enthusiasts who admire the artistry and narrative woven into the fabric of flight history. So I highly recommend that you all head on over to iflwatches.com to explore this new and incredible aviation collection. And if they're not already sold out, pick yours up. And as always, explore the entire IFL collection, because there's maybe no one having more fun with affordable watchmaking than IFL. They're just so unique and they're so beautiful, not to mention well done. So head on over to iflwatches.com now.
Bulova's Lunar Pilot Meteorite Titanium was just released. Do you think it's too much for a Bulova at $1,500?
That's a good question. No, I don't really look at it that way. I mean, I don't. First of all, $1,500 is not top of line for Bulova. Bulova does go up a little bit from there. I think that Bulova represents amazing value between $500 and $2,000, a little bit over $2,000 for their oceanographer and stuff. $1,500 to me is kind of right down the middle. I think that the larger question would be, is $1,500 too much money for a quartz Bulova? That's a good question. But the answer really comes down to, this isn't just a regular quartz movement. These Bulova quartz movements are incredible. They're operating at 226 kilohertz in frequency, which is 8 times higher than a standard quartz oscillation. These are in-house, quartz movements that are just performing literally 8 times better than any other quartz watch. That's why you get that insane smooth sweep. It's a piece of technology that a lot of folks don't like talk about, because people like to write off quartz as quartz and in-house is in-house. It's so much more difficult to understand than that. Bulova's done an amazing job. I think this is a great watch. I think you factor in the titanium case and the lunar history and then the meteorite dials. I think it's totally appropriately priced at $1,500. The first round sold out. We did a collab with Bulova on this watch pretty recently. It was a really great video. Go watch it if you haven't already. No, I think the $1,500 is totally reasonable for Bulova. Completely.
straps, as many of you should know, bring a whole world of potential to mix up your watch collection. They breathe new life into watches. They help you pull out different colors. They give them new personality. Straps can be very addictive. I know people with 2 watches and 10 straps because it adds so many facets to a collection in a fairly easy and fun way. So that's why they become such a part of the Theo and Harris culture and identity. I think we sell more exotic straps than almost anybody because I just love them so much and I love sharing them with you.
Moving on, let's take a look at Victoria Beckham's Breitling chronomat. Do you think she should have gone with her husband and Tudor?
That's a good question. The first answer I'll have is even David Beckham, who is a Tudor ambassador, doesn't only wear Tudors, which is kind of up. David Beckham's kind of famous for sneaking in Rolexes now and again, which I guess is okay because Tudor's owned by Rolex, so on a level that's fine. But on a different level, it's also I don't know. I mean, it's a tough predicament to be in, right? To be uber rich, right? It's so hard to be uber rich and totally have the resources to wear whatever the heck you want, but also because of your brand affiliation, which is paying you mucho dinero, you're not allowed to wear whatever you want. You have to wear Tudor. I like Tudor, but don't tell me there's a big watch guy in the world that only wants to wear Tudor for the rest of his life and that's it. That's probably not that likely. Tudors are amazing. They represent great value. They're great watches. There's definitely a place in the watch box, everyone's watch box for Tudor. But I can understand why David Beckham is every once in a while, I don't want to wear Tudor. I get that. Same thing happened with a lot of folks, I guess. Michael B. Jordan with the Piaget thing. It happens. That being said, I love the Breitling chronomat collection. I love the bracelets. I think this is really cool. I think Breitling's doing a great job. I don't love the secondhand, right? The whole VB. I think that's a little tacky. I don't know why they did that. I don't know. I don't like it. I didn't like it. I think they could have done the co-branding more tastefully. That being said, still a really great watch. I love the gold. I think it's so freaking cool. I think it's so good, And yeah, I mean, I think the collab makes sense, It would have made sense for her to go into Tudor because the Tudor's ladies collection could definitely use celebrity endorsement, especially if it's power couple, Posh and David. I mean, that would have been great for Tudor's glamour collection, but they didn't make it happen. And I'm sure the idea was floated, but I guess the money of it just didn't make enough sense for old Posh. Yeah.
Bamford and Bermont's new Aurora, a blacked out dive watch with a California sandwich dial. Can you give this the credit it deserves?
No, I don't like this watch. I don't like either brand. I'm not a Bamford fan. I'm not a Bremont fan. We know this. I don't even like this watch. Okay, it's 500 meters water resistant, which is good, but it's not good enough to overshadow the rest of my thoughts. It's really expensive, $5,500. It's an ETA movement, I believe. And I think that the design itself is it's too much going on. It's just like a mashup of a bunch of hits in theory. It's PVD, it's PVD, it's Loom, it's California, it's Sandwich. It looks like an H. Moser joke, right? It's like one of those H. Moser jokes. The Swiss Alp thing. There have been some cool Bamfords in history. For every cool Bamford, there are 30 horrible Bamfords. I mean, let's get real, And so far as Bremont is concerned, I've never really heard people speak with excitement about the brand. I've been to so many watch events. People aren't wearing Bremont. I'm sure someone out there right now is wearing a Bremont, and I'm sure it can very well be a really neat watch. I'm not saying that all those watches are dogs. I don't mean that at all. I just mean that I've never seen on the ground, on the street level, people proclaiming their love for the brand. But if you go up to if you're looking from, kind of upper levels or watch executive levels, people talk about Bremont. There's investment in Bremont. They have a big evaluation. It's where? Who's buying these watches? Who's buying Bremonts? I don't know. Somebody, I guess. Somebody. But at $5,400 for this ETA, not me. 16.5 millimeters thick. No thanks. I think it's bad. I think it's stupid. I think it's just another bad and stupid watch, which or a dime a dozen these days. So that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this sick episode of Weekend Update, basically. If you guys like this episode, please subscribe to the Theo and Harris channel. If you want more content from Theo and Harris, go ahead and sign up for our Patreon over at The Zero. We release content every single week. Behind the scenes look, really unfiltered conversation about this industry. We could dive way more into all the subjects that we just touched, and without us worrying that people are going to hear them and yell at us. So that's it. Go join over at The Zero. Bye-bye.
Whether you're a Submariner guy or a 50 Fathoms guy or a Day-Date guy or an FP Journe guy, you've got to just take a step back and appreciate this history here. This isn't stuff you're going to find in a showcase. This is not mass-produced stuff, which is beautiful in its own right. I mean, this is treasure hunting.